Cleveland is one of the most populated metro areas in Ohio, home to well over 2 million people. When you add in that Canton and Akron metro areas, you're talking about well over 3 million people. So Cleveland is arguably the biggest city in the state of Ohio. But does size really matter?
Please, on behalf of all men, answer this question for us.
I think to me it does.
That's what we're going to discover in this video. I'm going to be comparing what it's like living in Cincinnati, Ohio versus Cleveland, Ohio. Let's talk about it right now. What's up? It's Victor Pham, your Cincinnati realtor, back again, talking about all things Cincinnati. We're talking about all things related to real estate in Cincinnati. I will teach you everything you need to know about living in Cincinnati, Ohio. All right, this is the only channel you need when it comes to information about living in and moving to Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you need that in your life, hit that subscribe button so I can keep you up to date. Okay, we compare Cincinnati to Dayton, Ohio. We compare Cincinnati to Northern Kentucky, Columbus, and Toledo, Ohio so far on this channel. You guys really seem to get a lot of value from these comparison videos, and I know it really helps people who are relocating to somewhere in Ohio, but they just haven't decided on exactly where yet. So it's only right that we talk about Cleveland and see how it stacks up to Cincinnati. First off, location. Location is everything, right? Cleveland and Cincinnati are located in the exact opposite directions of the state. Cincinnati down here in Southwest Ohio, Cleveland about 250 miles away up in the northwestern part of Ohio. They're probably about a 4-hour drive roughly from each other. The actual city of Cleveland is located along the southern shore of Lake Erie in Cuyahoga County. Some of the surrounding counties that make up the Cleveland metro area are Lorain County, Medina County, and Summit County, where the city of Akron is located, and also Portage and Lake County. So depending on how you group the areas will determine how big of a population you come up with. City population of Cleveland is about 372,000, with the metro and suburban areas around 2.2 million. But like I said, Cleveland is also close to that Akron metro area and also that Canton, Ohio area. And a lot of sources that I'm finding are actually populating Cleveland together with these areas, which if you did, you'd come up with a population around 3.7 million. And if that's the case, you could arguably say that Cleveland is the biggest metro area in Ohio.
Well, see, the problem is I don't really see it like that, Jack.
So I guess it depends on what sources you are using and how you're grouping these regions, because Cleveland is really close to some other areas that you might consider their own unique metro areas. But 2.2 million is the base population for Metro Cleveland, not including Akron and the other metro cities around it. If you compare that to Cincinnati, which has a city population around 309,000 and a metro population around 2.3 million, you see the cities are very similar in that aspect. Also very similar in landmass, both cities having an area of around 80 square miles. Now, similarly, both Cincinnati and Cleveland border large bodies of water. Cincinnati's is probably not as glamorous as Cleveland's, being that Cleveland borders a beautiful and massive Lake Erie with access to about 67 miles of coastal shoreline running along the Cleveland area, with quite a few options to select from if you're looking for a day at the beach. Cincinnati, on the other hand, borders the Great Ohio River, but we're not really known for sexy beaches here in Cincinnati. Don't get me wrong, there are some scenic spots along the Ohio, as well as the Little Miami River, which also stretches across the Cincy area, but it's not really one of the reasons people decide to visit Cincinnati. In my opinion, Cleveland has Cincy beat when it comes to the waterfront and beachfront options, of course, if that's something that's important to you. So with Cincinnati, you're getting riverfront options. With Cleveland, you're getting lakefront options. Real quick, I want to tell you about my friends over at POWUR. If you haven't considered switching your home over to solar, you should definitely check out POWUR. One of the most trusted names in solar energy, homeowners save potentially thousands of dollars a year in energy bills, equating to sometimes hundreds of thousands over the life of their home. Unlike traditional electricity costs, solar energy provides a fixed, inflation-resistant rate, offering long-term financial security. Solar panels can also significantly boost a property's market value, a compelling selling point for many home buyers. And federal and state funding options are available, making the transition to solar energy even more accessible for the average homeowner. Use the link in the description to visit POWUR, where a professional sales associate will walk you step by step through the process on converting to solar energy. And if you use my link as a referral to convert to POWUR, they will give you an entire year of free electricity or an equal amount in a discount if you're buying cash. Take back your power with POWUR and make the switch to solar energy today. Let's get back into the video. It's also worth mentioning that Cleveland does have its hilly parts of towns, but for the most part, it's known to be relatively flat, at least much flatter than Cincinnati, which is one of the most hilly regions in Southwest Ohio. If you have watched more than a few of my videos, you may be tired of me mentioning how hilly Cincinnati is by now. But I say it because I know that for some people, the terrain of the area that they're moving to can be a big deal. And adjusting to a hilly region from a flat region can be a challenge. So do keep that in mind about the terrain of where you're locating to. By the way, guys, if you are considering a move to Cincinnati and you need help in the buying process, feel free to reach out to me. I'm helping people buy and sell real estate here in Cincinnati and the Cincinnati suburbs all the time. I'm sure I can help you too. Hit me up, text me, call me, email me, whatever's best for you, I got your back. Now, on the topic of weather, if you're moving anywhere in Ohio, you should probably be prepared for some cold temperatures with some precipitation and occasional snow. That's just how it is in Ohio. But depending on what part of Ohio you're in, the amount of snowfall will vary. Cincinnati and Cleveland climates are very similar, with the exception of snowfall. Cincinnati getting about 15 inches per year on average. Cleveland getting almost 4 times that, around 54 inches of snow per year. And I'm sure some of that has to do with Cleveland not only being so close to Lake Erie, but from the fact that Cleveland is very far north. If you ever stop to take a look at it on the map, being much closer to Canada and all those northern cold fronts and winter weather wave fronts that come through from the north. Average winter temperatures for both cities are similar, ranging from the low 20s up to the high 30s. I know here in Cincinnati we can get some pretty nasty snowstorms and ice storms, but they are seldom. So I can only imagine how much worse the winters in Cleveland are, with them getting 4 times more snow than we get here in Cincy. So you should probably be prepared for a harsher winter in Cleveland than you would Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, we get more rainfall than we do anything else, about 44 inches of rain per year, slightly more than Cleveland, which gets about 38 inches per year. A lot of rainfall does have its positives. It's great for cleansing the environment and cleansing the atmosphere. It's great for plants and vegetation and gardens. It does help cool things off in the summer days. But it also has its negatives. More rain means your grass gets watered a lot more often, subsequently meaning it will grow faster, leaving more grass for you to cut more often. When you start combining these very hilly regions in Cincinnati with a lot of rain, you have that risk of water intrusion if your basements or lower levels aren't waterproofed well. So Cleveland and Cincinnati, both pretty rainy regions. Cincinnati is a little more rainy than Cleveland. Summer times are also very similar for both cities. Temperatures in the averages of the mid 60s through the mid 80s. Of course, you can have days that can be a lot worse than that. Cincinnati at times can have really hot days with super high humidity levels, especially getting into that peak summertime around late July and August. It can get up to 100 or higher sometimes and very, very humid. Cleveland, however, has much less humidity levels, thanks a lot to that Lake Erie, much less humid days, and many more cool and comfortable mild summer days. Much more than you'll probably get here in Cincinnati. So overall, it does seem like Cleveland would likely have the more comfortable summer times. All right, switching over to cost of living, which is a really big factor for people relocating. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics says that Cincinnati has an average household income of around $48,000 a year. Cleveland household income around $40,000 a year. To maintain the current standard of living in Cleveland, payscale.com says that you need to make around $48,000. To maintain Cincinnati's current standard of living, you need to make around $51,000. At the time of me making this video, there are over 1,700 homes for sale in Cincinnati, with the average list price around $269,000, average actual sold price $248,000. While in Cleveland, there are also a little over 1,700 homes for sale with the average list price being only $140,000, average actual sold price $155,000. This is a difference of about 60% in home prices. Now, when I see a discrepancy that large, it makes me wonder what could be the possible reasons for Cleveland's housing to be that much cheaper than Cincinnati housing. I mean, after all, they are both in the state of Ohio. But there's a lot of modern data supporting the claim that Cleveland has the most affordable housing market, arguably the entire country. In fact, the average price per square foot of a Cleveland home is $133 per square foot, almost 40% less than the national average of $214 per square foot. One reason for such a cheap standard of living in Cleveland could be the obvious of the not so desirable winters and cold seasons. Another might be that Cleveland has not experienced rapid population increases like Cincinnati has. Typically, population increases will increase the demand for housing, thus increasing the prices for that housing. World Population Review says that Cleveland's population has decreased by 5.5% since 2020, while Cincinnati's population has only declined by about 0.4%, which basically translates to this: less people are leaving Cincinnati and choosing to stay, while more people are actually choosing to leave and move away from Cleveland. So these are some of the things that will always affect the housing market of a particular area. On the flip side, if you're a renter and not a buyer, you'll actually do better in Cincinnati, according to apartments.com. The average apartment size in 2024 in Cleveland for a 675 square foot space will cost you around $1,200 per month. While in Cincinnati, the average size is 665 square feet and will run you about $1,028 per month. So the moral of this story is Cleveland is cheaper for buyers. Cincinnati is a little cheaper for renters. Why exactly? Well, there's a lot of different variables to it, and hopefully by the end of this video, you can make a good judgment on why you think that is. All right, let's talk about job markets in these two cities. This is a pretty big one because one of the main reasons people relocate to another city is for a job or career opportunity. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics is telling us that as of January 2024, the unemployment rate in Cincinnati was around 3.8% compared to Cleveland's unemployment rate, which was slightly higher at around 4.3%. And generally speaking, a healthy unemployment rate is anything under 5%. So that is a plus for both cities. Economically, Cleveland is reporting the strongest long-term growth amongst major metro areas. And many sources are calling it the strongest economical city in the state of Ohio, surpassing that of even Columbus. Cleveland reports that some of the biggest employers are in the healthcare industry, with over 32,000 people employed with Cleveland Clinic, over 16,000 with university hospitals, and close to 30,000 working in government positions. Can't forget Amazon, who also put their stamp on just about every major city, employing close to 16,000 in Cleveland. And Deloitte, I hope I'm saying that right, Deloitte, a major consulting company, employing close to 35,000. Hey, check this out, guys. McDonald's is actually taking the cake with over 80,000 employees in the Cleveland area. So if you think you might have a future in the field of Mickey D's, definitely consider moving to Cleveland.
Here you are. What's this? Your food. No. I just ordered. And now it's here.
No, but in all seriousness, Cleveland does seem to have very strong employment in the healthcare, very similar to Cincinnati, whose major employers are also in the healthcare field, with companies like UC Health, Christ Hospital, and Cincinnati Children's employing over 40,000 people. In the education sector, University of Cincinnati employs over 10,000 people, and Kroger, one of the nation's largest grocery chains, employing over 18,000 in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is also very reliant on manufacturing and continually adding jobs, with new businesses and big money projects always underway. So with low unemployment rates and job opportunities that seem to be flourishing for both Cincinnati and Cleveland, it's probably safe to say that you could thrive in either one of these cities. It's always safe, however, to analyze your industry closely before making the decision to move to one of these places. Okay, what about things to do in these two cities outside of the beautiful views and water activities along Lake Erie? that you will encounter in Cleveland. Cleveland is also very well known for the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a public museum that celebrates the history and impact of rock and roll. Also the Cleveland Museum of Art, featuring over 45,000 pieces dating back as far as 6,000 years for you history junkies. Also the historical West Side Market, providing a large produce and ethnic food selections, as well as Cleveland Metro Parks, which include 18 reservations with over 23,000 acres of park space to enjoy outdoor fun, hiking, biking, picnicking, wildlife observation, and all that good stuff you get at a great park. Cleveland also provides a pretty bustling food scene with a barrage of food options, including the signature dish to Cleveland natives called the Polish boy, which is made up of a link of kielbasa sausage covered in French fries, barbecue sauce, and coleslaw. Also the pierogi, which is a dumpling-like dish that can be flavored in multiple different ways with meat or veggie combinations. Cleveland is also no stranger to sports. It's home to some of the major sports organizations, including the Cleveland Browns if you're into football, the Cleveland Guardians baseball team, and the Cleveland Cavaliers program, which won an NBA title back in 2016 with LeBron James. So Cleveland, being a major city, does have a ton of stuff to get into. Cincinnati does as well. Cincinnati is ranked as one of the top cities for street art, where you can view some of the creative and artistic murals by simply walking through one of the downtown or OTR areas. Cincinnati also features multiple museums for natural history and science, one of the most visited public zoos in the country, and over 300 metro parks to choose from, and a fairly decent bar, food, and nightlife scene with hundreds of food options to pick from, anywhere from the inner city all the way to the suburbs. Cincinnati, like Cleveland, is a really big sports town, featuring the country's first Major League Baseball team in the Cincinnati Reds. You got the Bengals, FC Cincy Pro Soccer, also hockey, and an array of college sports to choose from. So yeah, Cincinnati sports fans can be pretty fanatical. It is a big deal here in Cincinnati. And do take heed to Cincinnati's seemingly weird food traditions, which is a staple here in Cincinnati for many locals. And it is called a three-way, which consists of spaghetti topped with a sweet, tangy chili, then mountains of cheese piled on top of that. It's not for everybody, but if you are a food connoisseur, give it a try. Skyline and Gold Star Chili are the main places to find one of these hometown favorites. Another topic we should probably cover is public transportation. If you're relocating to another city and you're not a driver, getting around town can be a big issue for you. Cleveland does have a light rail train system, which was developed in the early 20th century and spans through a significant portion of the metro area. It was originally built to connect Cleveland to its suburb of Shaker Heights when it was built. This is a pretty big positive regarding Cleveland, because it's not common for you to find rail systems in Ohio like that, at least not in the cities I've covered so far on this channel. Cleveland also features a bus line and some trolleys if you're not interested in the train. Contrarily, if you compare that to Cincinnati, we do not have a rail or train system for the public. We have a trolley, and it literally goes in a circle around the downtown area. However, we do have a pretty established bus line with the Metro bus, which covers most of the Cincinnati area and into the suburbs as well. You can also transfer between Northern Kentucky's Tank bus line if you have to commute between Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Outside of that, that's pretty much it for public transportation in Cincinnati. It can seem limited for some people, especially people who are relocating from a much bigger city with underground subways and stuff like that. I think Cleveland may hold the upper hand in regards to public transportation options. And the last topic I want to bring up to you is crime and safety. Now, major metro areas will have crime, but what's the trend usually? And I talk about this a lot on my channel. Generally speaking, you'll get the heavier concentration of crime towards the inner city, less crime on the outskirts when you get into the suburbs. That's typically how it works. Niche.com is giving Cincinnati a C- overall for crime and safety based on violent and property crimes. Check out what people are saying about living in Cincinnati when given a survey. How safe do you feel in this area? 59% say there are some safety concerns, but I generally feel safe. Only 4% say that there are high safety concerns and I regularly don't feel safe. How responsive are police in Cincinnati? 49% say the police are visible and very responsive. 9% say the police aren't around much, and when you need them, they are not reliable. What about Cleveland compared to Cincinnati? Niche is giving Cleveland a D for crime and safety based on property and violent crimes. That's super low. I think this is the lowest crime grade I've seen for any area that I've compared to Cincinnati on this channel so far. Same survey, how safe do you feel in Cleveland? 46% say there are some safety concerns, but I generally feel safe. 8% say very safe, there are no safety concerns. 35% say police are visible but respond slowly when needed. 9% say police aren't around much, and when they aren't worth a crap. So on paper, some safety concerns with Cleveland compared to Cincinnati, which is appearing to be a bit safer. If you are from Cleveland or you've lived in Cleveland before, or you do now, let me know in the comments, how accurate is that? Is Cleveland safe? Other than that, I really hope this video helps you make a more informed decision if you are relocating soon and either Cleveland or Cincinnati is one of your choices. Feel free to reach out to me if you think you might be choosing Cincinnati and you might need help in that buying process in Cincinnati or any of the Cincinnati suburbs. I would love to have a chat with you. If you want to watch more videos like this one where I compare other cities to Cincinnati, check out this playlist right here. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, when it comes to houses in Cincinnati, you can always call Vic.